Hey guys, Phaser from Phaser's Turf here, and today I'm going to be bringing you an overview of the Xion 560BK, a good cabinet from a not so popular company. Let's start with the physical tour of the case. On the front, we have the power button, a USB 2 port, a microphone jack, a headphone jack, another USB 2 port, a super speed USB 3 port, and the restart button. And as you can see, there are three 5.5-inch bays for optical disk drives, fan controllers, or whatever else you might want to put here. And this is a filter for a 120mm fan located on the inside. And on the left, we have room for four 80mm or four 92mm fans, or you can have one big 200mm fan right here. And moving on to the right side, now on the right you have the same grills as on the left, but you can't screw any fans in because each of those holes are covered by metal. And you wouldn't even need to put any fans here because the only thing you might be cooling in this area are your cables. Moving to the top, we have even more room for another 120mm fan. You could have an all-in-one CPU cooler over here, but the radiator would have to be really slim for it to fit without hindering some connectors or something else on your motherboard. Moving on to the bottom, we have room for one 92mm fan right here under your hard drives. It will fit even if you have both hard drives installed. And right here we have a filterless grill for your PSU fan. And I would have really liked to see a filter here, but there's nothing we can do about it. Finally, moving on to the back, we see two holes with rubber grommets for external rads. You will run your tubing through these. We have a grill for a 120mm, 140mm, or 160mm fan, and this hole over here into which your IO shield will go. There are four expansion slots as you can see on this case, and a power supply opening hole thingamajigger. Now if you take off the front, you'll notice that it comes with one 120mm fan. These have LEDs, mine is a blue one, but I believe it comes in other colors. And you will also notice that there are not three, but only two 5.5-inch bays and one 3.5-inch bays for a card reader or something else. Moving to the inside, on the bottom right you'll see your hard drive cage with toolless mounts for 3.5-inch drives. Although you will need screws and a screwdriver for the 2.5-inch drives. But if you want to, you can also install your 2.5-inch drive on this little removable piece that says SSD. You can reinstall the metal piece any of two ways. The first, where you put it back the same way and the SSD is hidden back here, or the second, where you flip it around and just screw the thumb screw back in. Although I would recommend the first because your cable management will be a lot easier and it will look neater. Above this, you have the two 5.5-inch bays and the one 3.5-inch bay, none of which are toolless. Moving towards the left, you will notice this huge CPU cutout and all the other cutouts for cable management over here. If you look closely, you will notice the black standoffs that are already pre-installed, so you won't have to go through the hassle of installing them yourself. Speaking about standoffs, this case is a micro ATX size case, which means it can fit any motherboard smaller than the standard ATX. That pretty much means it can fit a micro ATX and a mini ITX motherboard. Cable management is no problem in this case because an elevated side panel leaves tons of room for scrunched up cables and stuff. Now coming to the build quality of this case, it is awesome. The 560BK is made almost completely out of metal and has almost no complaints from me about rigidity. The one complaint I do have is that the SSD mount is very flimsy and not very reassuring. I know that SSDs don't have moving parts, so there shouldn't be any problem, but if I was moving my computer around, I would definitely feel better if that was mounted with more than just one thumb screw, or if the mount was much thicker. Although the front of this case is made of plastic, it looks like metal and was very convincing to me. It took me an entire day of hands-on with this case for me to figure out that the front was made of plastic. The last thing I want to talk about is the glossy finish on this guy. While the finish does look pretty badass, it's a crazy fingerprint magnet, which might not be a problem for most people, but for people who want to show off their rig, they would have to clean it very often or not touch it at all. and I myself am more of a matte finish kind of guy. So that's it for this episode on Fraser's Turf. Like this video if you liked it, comment if you have any ideas you would like to share, or point out any mistakes that I made. Share this video with friends and family if you thought it was good, and don't forget to subscribe.